Blender. So selecting the box again, go to Objects. Let's just make a little bed. So click on bed, I should say. Sorry. Now living room. Or wait, no, bedroom. And you can see that there's a check on bed. So now we left click as we usually would to drag out the rectangle, and you can see here there's a little square. Now don't be too freaked out about that or anything, but just position it where you want. I want it about right here. Except as you can see here, it's too big. So let's just, or too high up. Let's just drag this down to about there. And actually, because it's a bed and everything, we'd probably want to have it at least 2 levels up. And here's our bed. Now we hit X. Sorry about that. Just doing this again. Control Z can sometimes be a little annoying. Hit Enter. And now we have to go back to Objects and Primitives and Box. Now if we go back to Objects, Primitives, you can see that Box is selected. So now we hit X and we have our bed. We have our bed shown. So hit X again. Let's rotate this. Now Blender has many kinds of tools just like this, except you have more short keys than literally having to do this. Okay, so as you can see, it is very weird looking right now, but we'll just get that tweaked a little in a second. Okay, and now let's scale this inward some, and right there. So now, if we right click right here, move our mouse, you can see there's a nice looking bed. Nice looking bed right there. Don't be freaked out about this right now, it's just because of my perspective. If I, like, for example, zoom in, and then the up arrow, you can see that it's still there. But anyways, now, pretty cool, pretty cool. So, now let's go to top view, go to Objects, Primitives, make sure Box is selected, and I'm just going to be showing you one more tool for this, and then we'll get into DarkBasic, and that's going to be the end of this tutorial. Okay, so we draw a box, we hit Enter, X, boom, yeah, let's have it about there, let's drag this up a bit, drag this down a bit, and drag this to the sides a bit, so it's pretty much covering the whole box. Okay, now, Enter. Well, you don't have to hit Enter if you don't want to. But anyways, going back to here, going to Tools, hit Carve, and then delete that. As you can see here, it's deleted everything we just told it to. It's deleted the roof and the bottom half. Except that still left this because we didn't ask it to delete this. So that's pretty cool and everything. It's a pretty fun program to work with. I would probably recommend you install this for your first try, or when you're learning just how to use the basics of computer programming, or designing, I should say. This and DarkBasic are going to probably be the best things you can download for your first time, and then you can start with the Blender and C++. And don't get too frustrated with this stuff. Trust me, I've went through that, but all it does is takes determination. As long as you have that, you're good to go. So if you want, you can just go to File, Save, and you can just save it or something. I'll just I'm not gonna save it, but anyways, I'm just gonna show you something I've made, demonstrated in my living room, and I'll just show you a little of how you can use this. So let's just go into living room, see if it opens. Oh, here's a living room and everything. I don't actually you know what, it was in a different user. I had the other one, but this is just some example of how you can see how to design this, and pretty much all they did, they carved it and chose those sides to be brown, and they chose this tile to be white. So, pretty cool. Anyways, let's go into DarkBasic. Alright, so, open up DarkBasic Professional, and, Now, you might have this problem if you have a Windows 7, but if you don't, you should be pretty good. But if, see, for example, if I click over File, and just, let's say, File, New, and let's just say Project. So, if I try naming it, whatever, okay, selected path cannot be used because DarkBasic Professional Editor does not have permission to access this directory. You should either ensure your project is in a path with right permissions, run DarkBasic Professional Editor with administrative purposes or permissions. And I know I probably not exit out the or and then add that for next. Sorry about that and everything, but and that's usually how you start off your project, is that, but not really sure why, but I actually have to save it as something first. So let's just, yeah, well, that's usually what I would do, but I've already made a project here, so I'll just be going over this with you and showing you some pretty cool stuff with it. So just go to your documents, or you don't have to go to your documents. That's just where I saved this file. And then first YouTube tutorial. So here we have it. We have our full first let's exit this out. We have our little first tutorial. This is a little program, and what this all pretty much does is it tells the computer to display a cube and allow it to move the object up, move the object down, left, and right. And I'm going to be showing you other primitives for this and stuff. So let's just start it out. Now, to my knowledge, sync on, I've only used it so far for making objects and stuff. But anyways, now we're saying sync rate 60 milliseconds per second. It's kind of hard to say, but 60, pretty much long story short, sync rate makes it go 60 milliseconds per second. Backdrop on gives it a blue background. Now, I'm going to be compiling this later for you and showing you what this does. But as you can see here, usually if you would color this, usually it would make your object literally be colored that color. But weirdly enough, sometimes this DarkBasic does glitch some, and you have to sometimes rewrite your whole code for it to work. No cutting and pasting. Weirdly enough, it's just a little error that some Windows 7 computers have. And even Windows XP and Windows Vista, which this is used for. Anyways, now let's go down to the next line. Make object cube. Okay, so we're just pretty much telling the computer to make an object and make that object a cube. And now we're naming that object. We're just giving it a number, 1. So this cube is now being called, or has now a variable that it's going to be remembered by the computer as object 1. Okay, and then we size it by saying 50. So now, we go over to the next line. Color object 1. As you can see, we have color, which is telling the computer that we're about to color something, so be prepared for that. And then color, and then object 1. As you can see here, this is the object, and since we gave that object a variable, which is 1, it knows that object 1 is that cube. So now we put a comma and we say RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue. And then we say open bracket, close bracket, and just go in between it and type in whatever kind of numbers you want. I typed in 120, 120, 120. They are accurate. You can be accurate for certain combinations and stuff, but I'm not getting into that. Anyways, you just have to make sure you have that. And now, if you're wondering why I put 120, 120, 120 3 times, the reason for that being is because, as you can see here, RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue, this is telling the color frequency of red to be 120. This is telling the color green frequency to be level 120. And this is telling level blue to be level 120, which all of these fused together creates a color. Some kind of color, like in art class and stuff. Yeah, you gotta be careful about that stuff. Sometimes it does that.